welcome to the East. Let me brief you. The government in Berlin has finally decided that it's time to destroy our sworn enemies, the Bolsheviks. Your attack here at Brest-Litovsk will be the opening hour of Operation Barbarossa. Along a front line 3,000 kilometers long, guns will open fire. The enemy should be completely surprised, and you'll be able to cross the Bug River with almost no resistance. Good luck all the same.
Hello YouTube Generals, and welcome back to Panzer General 2, the Adlerkorps edition. We are playing through Barbarossa, the opening operation of Barbarossa anyway. And we have a prototype unit, the Focke-Wulf 109, as you saw there. That is a really good fighter. Better than any of the ones that I currently have, which is great. Bought an infantry unit instead of upgrading or purchasing anything else. This is Russia, you'll need it. Russia, they have pretty much any city you see, they're gonna have guys there. Unfortunately, that's the literal truth with the Russians. They have tons of troops and they're everywhere, so keep an eye out for that. Yeah, we're gonna deploy up here. I do know where most of their equipment is, so we're gonna set up for that. I think they got an artillery piece to the north that's really easy to knock out, an infantry unit, a heavy-duty tank, and a scout car to start. In the bottom half they have two artillery units, one super heavy one, and a anti-aircraft gun, all of which we pretty much need to destroy as soon as possible. But we'll work on these guys first because they have no anti-aircraft. That was a good kill there. Come in and bomb the shit out of these guys as well. Like I said, most of the guys on this particular level are pretty easy. I believe this, at the time that this invasion occurred, it was the largest invasion that had ever been created at the time. I think that D-Day did dwarf this invasion, but you know, at the time that this occurred, in reality, it was pretty massive. I don't think the Russians were completely surprised, but you know, a lot of historians like to say they were completely surprised. I don't know that they were like shocked or whatever you want to call it. I think it was more like they're just, I don't know, I guess you could say they were caught off guard, but they weren't like surprised because everybody knew that Russia and Germany were not going to get along and that it wasn't going to work out the way that they wanted it to. So I think in the end pretty much everybody knew that was going to be the situation. So move our paratroopers up to the top there and protect them with a leadership unit that has multiple interceptions, just in case they decide they want to go up there and have a little fun with us. Moving on down there. God damn it. I'm trying to mess around with my headset here, sorry. Whoops. Shoot. Let's see here. Here we go. For some reason it just has like a tiny little preview in the little box for Windows Movie Maker when I edit these, so it's really hard to see what exactly is going on. It makes it a little harder for me to really give you guys a blow-by-blow. I apologize for that. Okay, so we are gonna get caught up here. Let's see. We're still basically deploying aircraft to make sure that we can defend our bombers against attack. And get the Focke-Wulf up there. It's a great little aircraft. Trying to see where I should place these guys, because what you want to do is you want to put them out of range, out of sight range from theirs. And the reason you do such a thing is because if you do this, you're basically guaranteeing yourself that they won't run into, or they could, not really, I shouldn't say guarantee, but you're really helping yourself out to try to get an out of the sun or an interceptor on their bombers if they try to bomb. There's a ton of guys in this level. All of the Russian levels, they have a ton of people. Well, 0 killed is good. 2 and 7 is not really a very good suppression. But it'll work. Our guy didn't take any heavy casualties. Oh, anti-aircraft took him out. Okay. They're just kind of moving around here. I have so many guys, it just takes literally forever. I mean, look how long that's taking. There, finally. Took forever. Okay, so now we're figuring out who we're going to shoot. We want to get rid of that anti-aircraft gun, because then we can use our bombers against them. That's pretty important here. Remember, the thing that made the Germans so good, or I keep saying Germans, Nazis so good, is the fact that they used combined arms, and what that means is having not only air superiority, but using it against your enemies. So bombers were a huge deal. The Russians were particularly scared of bombers, of German bombers. And I don't blame them. I mean, I would be too. It's pretty terrifying to have something drop a big, massive explosive on you, right? I'm not saying all Russians or all communists were scared of bombs. They were just, if you were getting bombed, you were scared. It goes for really anybody. But the Germans were just, damn, I keep saying that. The Nazis were just so effective at this combined arms tactic that it was pretty outrageous. So this guy, this tank here with our leader, he is really tearing them up right now. He killed 2 guys and basically killed the 3rd one because he's not going anywhere now. Okay. Let one of our guys that's not as experienced get the kill. We're going to try to bomb him a little bit, that little scout car, try to get a better kill ratio on him. 1 in 4 is not terrible, but we'd rather get 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 if at all possible. There we go. What did we get there? Got 4 anyway. But it could have been worse, so 1 in 5, again, not terrible. Only killed 4, but that's acceptable. Did not mean to move that sucker. Okay. We want to try to move up as far as possible to get right on top of these guys so that we can continue our advance. We're on that really strict timetable for all these levels, and it's really difficult, especially the Russian ones when you have so many enemies to defeat. It really gets hard fast. Cover our bases here with our fighters. Gotta protect those bombers accordingly. Here we're gonna just bomb the snot out of these guys. I know you can't see the casualties, but you can kind of get a good idea from the estimates. Plus there you could see afterwards as well, so basically they're getting destroyed. I do believe I get surprised here by a tank that we almost destroyed earlier. I didn't realize he went the direction that I sent these infantry units in. But he did. Yep. And he killed a couple. It's not that big of a deal, really. Sucks, but it's not a big deal. The good thing about the Russian campaign also is the fact that you get so much prestige from all the little towns and stuff, where a lot of times in the other ones there's just not that many to take, and you just can't really get enough to make it worthwhile. And I do buy a Panzer 4F on this mission. Another 4F. So we actually, I believe we gain a infantry and a tank division on this particular map. And that's big. That's really important. Like I said, in Russia you need all the guys you can get. So there's another tank there, but we're not going to worry about him. He's not going to go and attack anything this turn anyway, so he's not really that dangerous. We're just going to protect our paratroopers. Paratroopers play a big role in this mission. They pretty much single-handedly have to take the city at the top, although they don't really take it, but they deal enough damage to do it. Caught us a little bit up top, but that's okay. That's fine. It's a non-core unit, you can have at him. That's not so good. Okay. Sure. As I said, tons and tons. Especially infantry and tanks are what they always have a bunch of. Mostly infantry, but sometimes they get a lot of stuff. This is a, by the way, I didn't mention this before. This is not an SSI map. This map never existed in the original game. This is a player-created map. And generally speaking, any player-created map that you're going to play in Adlerkorps is going to be heavily infested with guys. I mean, it is typically really bad. So be prepared. Like, if you don't know, I'll try my best to let you guys know in the comments and stuff. Or just me talking like I am now, let you know which ones are user created, so that way if you go through here, you'll know that the user created maps on Adlerkorps is a pain in the butt. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before, but this game is free to download. You can go directly to the website and get the full version of this. I may put a copy of this game on my website as well. I might host one myself, I haven't decided yet. If not, I'll put it on Mega or something like that so that you guys have a place to download if you're interested. If anybody's interested in that, let me know. I'll take care of that. But yeah, I mean, great little game. If you guys haven't played this, it's challenging. Especially the Adlerkorps version with the reduced prestige and increased costs. It definitely gives you a run for your money. You have to be on top of things. Some of these user-created maps are just insane. Like, I honestly think that if you're on the defensive and you have to fight in Stalingrad or Leningrad, you can't do it. I don't care what you do, like, it's damn near impossible. Like, even with cheats, even with using cheat engine and increasing my prestige to an unlimited amount, I still had a hard time beating them. So, essentially, if you get into that position and you're fighting in Stalingrad and Leningrad, don't expect to live. Don't expect to beat that mission. I mean, you could beat it. I shouldn't say live or beat it. What I should say is you're not going to get a brilliant victory. And it really doesn't matter anyway, because once you get in that path, you can't get back to the offensive path. You'll be on the defensive path from then on out. So, currently we're on an offensive path, and we always have been. We've been getting lots of brilliant victories. I think in the early parts of the game I had to take a couple of, maybe even 3 victories instead of brilliant victories. But mostly we've had brilliant victories. Eindhoven was one of those maps that I think we had to take a victory on. I hate that map. That's also a user-created map, and it is a huge pain in the ass. For where you are in the game, at 50% prestige, it's not unbeatable, but I think it's as close to unbeatable as you could imagine. It's that hard. It's really stupid. I mean, you could get a victory, no problem, I think, but a brilliant victory is just, gosh, it just feels so impossibly hard to get. I think I've got it like once, and I sincerely doubt I was playing at 50%. Oh, that was foolish. I shouldn't have done that. But I do let it go, and I do punish them for it, of course. Trying to move these guys downward to help out down below, because they're pretty much worthless. Their attack and everything, they're really no good. They don't do me any good. I think I don't lose any of them, if I remember correctly, but they also don't really help me all that much. So there you go. Here's your Panzer 4F, which is a great tank in this game. It's obviously not as good as the ones that shoot 2 spaces, but it's still a very good tank. If you can, you want to upgrade to that. Doesn't cost very much. I think it's like 150 to 250 per tank. So, oh, nice. Out of the sun on our bomber. I think I reloaded this this turn though. Not because of the surprise attack, but because of the I forgot to move the paratroopers. So bear with me here. Yeah, see, I forgot to move them. So just bear with me. It'll be real quick. It'll only be a few extra seconds here. Pretty important to get them going. As per usual, your timetable is very short, so to get a brilliant victory, you don't have a lot of extra time. And as I've said multiple times in this video segment, you have to get brilliant victories, because what ends up happening is, unless you're going to get, think of it like this, unless you're going to get an extra 1,000 prestige for capturing those extra cities and towns, it isn't worth it to not get a brilliant victory. That's how I figured it out, because, hold on a sec, let's see what we get here. Ooh, 5 and 1, very nice. Anyway, that's how I calculate it, because typically you're going to get either a super good aircraft, which is 900 to 1,500 prestige, or you're going to get a piece of artillery, a big one usually, which is worth anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000. Or lastly, you're going to get a bomber. Now, you're not going to get this every time. What I mean by that is basically the reason why you see me saving at the end of every scenario is because I'm going to keep reloading that scenario until I get that. Because I feel that at 50% I need to get a certain reward in order to move on. And some people might see that as cheating to reload over and over again and get what you want, but I feel like if I'm at 50%, I have to get some kind of an advantage. So my advantage is to reload and to redo certain aspects of the game, because they're already being given a huge advantage by me playing at a lower prestige than what I normally would play at. 100%, do you need it? No, not really. You have enough prestige. I mean, you're getting double what I'm getting here, and double's huge. Imagine if I was getting twice as much as what I'm getting now. I mean, that's a big deal. Instead of getting one Panzer 4F, I could have got two. You know, that's freaking huge. So, just putting that into perspective. And of course, at 300%, it's just insane. But I'm telling you, that damn Eindhoven mission, going back to that real quick, even at 300%, it's not that you don't have enough money, you do. But there's just so many guys. They literally outnumber you like 30 to 1. I mean, they just have so much equipment and guys. And they're all perfectly positioned and perfectly in your way. And, you know, that's really why it's hard. It's not because they're hard to kill. They're actually not all that hard to kill at all. But when you have that many of them, yeah, you're going to have issues for sure. So these are the only units I'm going to take with me to take over this victory/supply hex up in the top. And we managed to find us another tank here hiding out in the town. We're going to shoot him up pretty hard with our artillery. Destroy him with our Panzer 4D there. The 4D is actually pretty good still. You won't really need to upgrade past the 4D for a long time. The thing that really starts to matter is when you can get like the 4 H's and Tigers and Panthers and stuff like that. Those are a big deal. Those are huge, 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 huge upgrades. I generally don't like the Tigers too much, even though they are just completely and utterly devastating to infantry. They're also not very good in terms of moving fast, which is fine if you're playing the defensive part of the campaign. Like, say for example, you're trying to defend Berlin, or you're trying to do something like take over Stalingrad or Leningrad, where you're in a defensive posture already, basically. That's fine, because that won't matter, right? You don't care how fast you take over a town or a city or anything like that. You don't care how fast the Panzer 4, or I'm sorry, the Tiger gets there, because, well, you have all the time in the world, basically. Yeah, it's obviously better if you get a brilliant victory, because you're still going to need the money, right? But you're on a defensive path at that point. You're not. There's no way you can get to America or Britain at that point. You know, you're going to have to fight the Americans, which is very difficult, let me tell you. You're going to have to fight the British, which is equally as difficult. And lastly, the Russians, which are the ultimate difficulty. Because while the Americans are hard to kill and hard to defend against, they don't have the amount of equipment that the Russians do. And by the time you're in a defensive position, you're going to be facing an onslaught like you've never seen. So we're trying to get rid of these guys. I know there's an anti-aircraft gun near here, which is why I haven't been bombing them. That's why you'll see me... Oh wow, that sucked. Which is why you'll see me take these guys out first. He's actually back there behind that victory hex city, just waiting to ruin our day. And it's important to know this type of stuff, because if you don't know where he is and you move up your guys, you know, and they get shot up, you're gonna have a hard time. Although, to be fair, it's not a big gun. It's not like a 88, or, you know, they don't have 88s, but whatever they have, 105 or some massive anti-aircraft gun. It's actually more like a I don't know, I want to say like a 75 or something, pretty small. So I knew I was going to take the airport this turn, which is why I didn't bother to return those aircraft the last turn, because I knew that we'd be good to go this one, just to go ahead and re-up them. And we don't have a lot of stuff that's trying to hurt us, so we're doing okay. Move up our infantry here. Of course, we're going to go check out what's over here with our aircraft. Some artillery, a big massive tank. Oh, he can actually shoot back at aircraft. Didn't do him any good, but he still did it. I get so used to those artillery that can shoot further. The 105mm artillery is usually good enough. 150 is obviously better, gives you better results, but it still does its job. Doesn't really get you any kills in the later missions, it just gets you suppression, which, as I've said before as well, suppression is usually more important. Because sometimes in the later missions, as you'll see too, you can't get kills no matter what you do. I mean, you're just not going to get a kill. So in that circumstance, you're actually better off to get that suppression so you can eventually get the kills. Ooh. Got them a nice little tank there for us. It's okay. Well, there you go. Rugged defense. That didn't help. 4 and 6 isn't very good. Oh no, we did really well there. He's still a 10 strength, so actually he did do pretty good. He took 0 casualties when he was supposed to take 4, so take that back. He was actually useful, surprisingly. He needs to loop back around because that cavalry is quick. They could maybe get past us and try to take out our supply hacks, and that would be really bad. And as you can see, there's a lot of towns and cities and stuff. That makes a huge difference for this level, for your reinforcement ability. You shouldn't need too many reinforcements on this level. I get surprised multiple times, so unfortunately I get kind of boned there, but other than that, we don't do too bad. Later on, when your tanks can shoot further away, they can shoot 2 spaces instead of 1. Boy, is that a huge upgrade. I mean, massive difference in terms of what you can accomplish. So we're trying to dig these guys out of this town here. Just using our fighters, nothing special. This was one of our brilliant victory rewards. Okay. And we got him down a little bit. We'll probably get him next turn. And we need to put the hurt on this guy because he is a big fat tank. Okay, got him pretty good there. Oh, never mind, we'll take him out this turn. Wasn't sure if we could pull that off or not, but we sure did. So we got the tank and the infantry unit. We're also going to be able to take both of these guys out pretty easily. There we go. I think from a historical standpoint, the Germans kind of got overconfident, or the Nazis I should say, got kind of overconfident when they were in this part of Russia. As you can tell, there's still some roads that are available. The weather doesn't look all that bad. And I think that really made a big difference. You know, it allowed them to move quickly, to use their blitzkrieg tactic to their full advantage. And it's something that they really couldn't do the further they got in. The roads got worse, the weather got worse, and really they just stretched out their line too far and their supplies too far. I think they just got kind of that ego problem going for them that really never served them well. You know, it's kind of one of those pretty obvious situations where don't you read history, you know? How many people tried the invasion of Russia and failed? Well, some pretty big people failed that may or may not have been better than you are, right? Napoleon being a big one, right? So what defeated Napoleon? Well, Waterloo. But why did it happen that way? Well, there's some argument in that, but I think that the Russian winter is really what kicked his ass. And it's really not debatable. You know, he lost thousands of men to just the weather and the trek alone. And you just can't, that's the thing, Russia is so expansive that if you're going to take it over, you can't really do it in a way that would put you in a position to get creamed like that. You have to really be aware of what you're doing. Oh, that sucks. Oh shit, it didn't even kill anybody. Worth it. Not really, because we could have attacked, but... Ooh, that kind of sucks. Oh, but he got a leader. Nice. So resilience and ground defense +4. That's going to make him extremely hard to kill. Resilience is basically the same thing as ground defense +4. It just makes you harder to destroy. The reason you'll see me saving here is pretty obvious. I don't want them to die. So if they do die, I'm going to back up to the original autosave and then play from there again just in case they die. Because I can't really afford for them to die. The reason I don't kill that anti-aircraft gun is the anti-aircraft is not capable of retaking towns and cities. So I just leave them. Because once they've been pushed out of the city, it doesn't matter. Basically, they're useless at that point. So we don't really give a shit whether or not they go back to that city or not. They can't take it over. So that is kind of the disadvantage of our what am I trying to say here? Our anti-aircraft as well. Ours can't shoot either, so that's kind of a bummer. In the other game that I've been playing, Panzer Corps, you can do that. So you actually can do the aircraft, the anti-aircraft can actually, for the 88mm one anyway, it can set up for anti-aircraft, or it can be set in an anti-tank position and fire that way as well, so that's pretty cool. Which is actually historically accurate. It was well documented that the Nazis used the anti-aircraft guns as anti-tank guns, and they used the same type of ammunition. In fact, it could have even been the exact same type. 88mm wouldn't have been a flak cannon shell, but it would have been a just a armor-piercing shell or high explosive. Either way, you know, you would have had those shells available, and all you would have had to do is just aim your gun in the correct direction. So, pretty goddamn useful little gun they had. You know, 80mm. It's not little actually, but an 88mm gun was pretty impressive, I think. I know that Americans had a lot of stories about the 88, and I think it was a great gun. I really do. To this day, I feel like that was one of the Germans' best weapons that they had. The MG34 was a great gun, and of course, you know, the other machine. Oh God, the other machine guns that they had that came later. So, Hitler's buzzsaw, of course. But yeah, you know, it's just, I think the Germans had the right idea. I keep saying Germans, whatever. They had the right idea in terms, well, technically it would be the Germans in this case, but anyway, they had the right idea in terms of combat. You know, they were the first army to really realize the importance of using everybody all at once and combining them together to really be an effective fighting unit. And before, it really wasn't like that. You know, the cavalry was separated from the infantry. They were often seen as superior to the infantry, and they were seen as, you know, basically, we're better than you, and we're not going to be put into harm's way, and stupid bullshit like that. And that would really harm your ability to fight. So, you know, Hitler's army didn't do that. You know, the Germans did not do that. They really adopted that combined arms tactic. And just like the game portrays, their first experience with that was in Spain during the Civil War. It wasn't extensive. There wasn't a ton of stuff going on for them. But it was enough for them to test out the theory. It was enough for them to look at Blitzkrieg and to look at this new tactic of combining your forces and concentrating your forces on an enemy heavily for the first time. So The other thing they did too was they would move their tanks and their infantry together rather than separate them out. You don't let the tanks go in alone. You bring the infantry up with them. And even though, in my opinion, the German tanks were not the best tanks, really at any point were they the best. There were some that were better than others, obviously, but as a whole, they were just mediocre. But that's the thing. You took a mediocre tank, infantry that was armed with bolt-action rifles, and turned them into a monster, because what you have effectively done is took two somewhat decent groups of people and increased their odds of winning with aircraft and artillery, where that had never really been done before. Not like that. So, pretty cool. Pretty interesting. And I'm sure I'll get somebody, oh, fucking Germans had great, you just said that they had good machine guns. They did. They had some small arms that were good, but they also had a lot that were total shit. The K98, I love that rifle, but it was outdated. It was never a good idea. It never fired fast enough. Compare that to the M1 Garand or even the Lee Enfield, another bolt-action rifle. Not as good. In my opinion, not even close to it. I've owned both. I've shot both. The Lee Enfield not only shoots faster, but it holds more rounds, and that's a huge deal on the battlefield. Having more ammunition is a big thing. So that's why I say the infantry was kind of so-so. The machine guns were great. Most of their machine guns were great. Obviously, the Germans coined the first assault rifle, or storm rifle. The Sturmgewehr, was it the 44? And the MP44 was a good gun. That was a submachine gun, a 9mm. It was a great gun. So, I mean, they had some good guns, and obviously as the war progressed, they wanted more of these quote-unquote assault rifles and less of the bolt guns, because it became real obvious. And I think to all armies in World War II, it was really the first time that they realized that bolt guns were just not going to cut it. I mean, look at the USSR at the time. They literally went from Mosin-Nagants to Papashas, two different variants of the Papasha. And you have all of these, submachine guns and, weapons that basically were semi-automatic or fully automatic and had the capability to shoot more rounds more quickly. And even though the range was decreased and possibly even the accuracy was decreased, you increased the amount of fire. So it was a big deal, and it was a realization that came pretty late into the war, I think, really, if you think about it. Probably half of the war was over already by the time most militaries realized that was the case. About 42, 43, I would say. Sorry if I'm blabbing on about this stuff, but I find it really interesting, the weaponry and everything. Of course, these are my opinions. These are not fact. Don't take them as such. I just like to, when I'm playing this game and I'm doing the audio afterwards, I like to just give you my opinion. And I hope you guys don't mind. So we're actually advancing a little bit slower than I would have liked here. Oh my god, again? Holy crap. That was BS. Anyway, like I said, we're kind of advancing a little slower than I would like. And this is really accurate. I hate to say that because I hate how many units there is, but this was always the issue with the USSR at the time, was the fact that you had so many men and so much equipment on the field of battle that how are you ever going to advance past it on a timetable? And it's something that the Nazis were never, ever good about. They never gave it enough thought, because in reality, if you have to have a timetable, well, timetables are meant to be broken, right? Like, stuff like that is kind of iffy at best. And I just find it really silly that against an enemy with virtually unlimited soldiers, you're not exactly going to have an easy time of penetrating and moving your way through them. So, trying to get after this artillery unit. I don't think we ever kill him. I believe he runs the fuck off. That was crap. Didn't get any kills. He's out of ammo. It's fine though, as long as he doesn't take the supply hacks, it's not a big deal. Two shots remaining. We're gonna move him over here to these guys because, well, they just retreated, but we're gonna kill them off. Probably won't need the bomber. Probably just use the fighter to take them out. These last 2 or 3 victory and supply hexes are a pain in the ass. They have a ton of equipment up there, and of course you're stretched out as far as you can basically get trying to obtain these objectives. I moved too many tanks in the middle there. I shouldn't have done that. They're too far out of the way. But our paratroopers did well. They're still kicking ass, and they're still alive. So, you know, keeping those guys busy. But these last 3 here are just really difficult. I'm looking for more aircraft here. So this is about when I'll speed up the video a bit. And the reason is I had to reload a few times. There was a particular turn where I had to redo it a few times because I just couldn't get the results I wanted. But you'll see. Checking out our prestige, see what we got left. Not a lot. There he goes. He does retreat out of there. He's like, see ya. Nobody in the town. I guess I didn't speed up the video yet. As you can see, these guys are kind of out of position here. They're not really in a place that's going to work for us. The reason I'm pulling him back is he just doesn't have enough guys to really make it happen. 152 millimeter, that's a big, big gun. So we're trying to get inside of this victory hex here because we really, really need to take it this turn in order to be in position to move on next turn. Okay. And we're also checking that 152 millimeter to see if he is out of ammunition. We want to push him to the point where he has no ammo. He actually has 1 shot left. That 1 shot, however, will guarantee that he won't have any ammunition to defend his guys with the turn after that. So that's a big deal. We want him to be... Alright guys, so it was sped up. I apologize for that. Thank you for watching, and please tune in for the next one. This was another brilliant victory, so we're going to keep chugging along here into Russia and continue on in the video, and hopefully get a brilliant victory all the way to America and Britain. So, like I always say, like and subscribe if you like this, and if you want to see more, subscribe. So we'll catch you next. Have a good one.
Well done, General. You captured your objectives quickly. Our advance into southern Russia and the Ukraine is going as planned. We can now help our Romanian allies deal with the Soviet occupation force in Moldavia. The General Staff has decided that you will lead the drive to capture Kishinev.